Hi there, and welcome to Dork Wars Live, your galactic hub for all things Star Wars and more, as evidenced tonight, because we're talking about Harry Potter's years 1 through 3. I have some of the best hosts in the galaxy with me tonight. First off, we have DJ from Rogue One Radio. Welcome, DJ. What's going on, man?
Hello.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, way too long, unfortunately. I was almost considering myself a Dork Wars regular, but with back to school and all that kind of fun stuff, life gives us a particular set of cards, and we just got to play what we're dealt. So, but I'm black, and I'm happy. Let's go.
I got it. Well, I got 2/3 of the Rogue One Radio crew. I had the other third last weekend. I just couldn't get them all in the same place, but that's okay. We've got Nicole on with us tonight. How's it going, Nicole from Rogue One Radio?
Hello. Hey, I got a bone to pick with my Slytherin degree up there. I thought or maybe it's with you, Blake. I thought I was one of the regulars. You once said I was one of the regulars, and I know it's been a hot minute too, but
I got so many regulars now. That's what happens. That's what Dork Wars Live is all about. I have all of you guys on from the Red 5.
Don't worry, it's a sweet bone. It's all good. It's all good.
It's all good. And
it's all good.
You guys are the backbone of Dork Wars Live. Just the guests. You know, we have our normal audio podcast that comes out every Monday, but Dork Wars Live is all about the Red 5 Network and other guests that I have on, just to get that exposure out there. And I love it. I love having you guys on. I love being able to talk to other people about dorky stuff. It's my favorite. It's my favorite thing to do.
Same. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, if we don't have anything else to bone pick about or whatever, let's get into a little bit of news. We don't have much, but now hear this.
Now hear this. Now hear this.
Now you hear this, whoever you are.
So, if my calculations are correct, and I think they are, Andor comes out in 18 days on Disney Plus.
It's about darn time. Wait, it's about damn time. That song.
It is.
It's about damn time. Sorry.
It's all right. It's all right.
As soon as you started saying it, I'm out. It's about damn time. So all I could think of.
So I know you guys, being part of Rogue One Radio, Rogue One's in the name. And Andor, Cassian Andor is a huge player movie. We all it weekend IMAX. We talked about it last weekend on Dork Wars, the podcast, Dork Wars Live. We had Steve on for that. And such a special movie to me. We actually watched it tonight. Me and Diedrich from Dork Wars. We watched it tonight with our families at his house. We've had a good day. Nice long Labor Day weekend. And I'm excited about Andor. I am so pumped. And I didn't think I'd be this pumped like about a year and a half ago. But now seeing the trailers, all the hype, I'm so ready. I'm so ready. DJ, what do you think about Andor? Are you excited?
I am, but probably for different reasons than a lot of people. I wasn't a big fan of the Andor character in Rogue One. I like the rest of the guys around him. So I'm interested to see how they're going to fit in this character and show his backstory to make me a little more interesting. I love everything I've seen so far. I don't know really much about plot or any sort of, speculation other than seeing a few things. The trailer really didn't give away too much. But the music looks on point or sounds on point. It looks cinematic and looks amazing. I'm ready for it. Bring it on.
And I'm here with Megan. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it early. I'm gonna have to.
Oh yeah.
I'm that excited. And I like what you said there, DJ. I wasn't the biggest fan of Cassian's character when I watched it back this past weekend in the IMAX. I kind of warmed up to him. I think maybe because we got the Andor thing coming, like I kind of want to gravitate toward his character more. But I think everything going on around him in this show is what's going to make me interested.
Yeah.
I hate to say it that way, but seeing Mon Mothma, seeing the Imperial Senate, seeing that mysterious guy on the speeder bike with the cloak, and he's a senator, maybe he's what is he? I don't know. That's what's drawing me to this show is everything happening around Cassian, which is okay. That's not a bad thing. Nicole, what are you excited about Andor? What excites you about this thing?
Well, so after seeing the preview, that 9-minute preview before Rogue One, because I got to see it also last weekend, it was awesome, and it's visually it looks just beautiful. It looks stunning. So I am like, okay, I'm more excited. I'm more pumped than I was before. Again, I was personally probably like optimistically cautious.
Yeah.
Preferably over pessimistic. So I'm excited. I'm giving it my hope. That's what I usually do. And just to see how it goes. Of course, we've been excited over at Rogue One because we've been breaking all this down. And so I've been excited because I feel like every week this is just preparing us more and more for what is to come. And we might even understand things a little bit more because we did that. And I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
And it brings us all together because then we're talking about it as we're preparing, and not just preparing for, then it'll happen even during, like, oh, that connects to this. And now we know that. It's kind of fresh in our minds. So
yeah, and if you haven't been tuning into Rogue One Radio, definitely get in the chat room on Tuesday nights because they've been over the heroes of Rogue One. They've been over the Empire, not necessarily the villains, just the Empire at this stage of Rogue One. And going forward, I mean, I think it's just a lead up to Andor by talking about Rogue One.
Yes.
So I'm excited about it. I'm glad you guys are on. I'm glad we get to talk about this because I'm so excited for Andor. I know you guys are excited for Andor. Any final thoughts before we move on about Andor?
Oh man, I hope that the excitement continues. Unlike some of the other shows that we've seen in the past, what start off strong and then really fall off. I really hope that this one sticks and just pulls the fan base back together.
Yeah. And we got 12 episodes. We got 12 episodes to do that with.
I hope it's a strong show. I hope it's a strong series. Or, hold up, strong season 1 and 2. We know we're getting 2. I hope it's a good 2 seasons that are really nice and tight, really strong. But I'll be honest, haters are going to hate no matter what. So just love what you love and keep watching it anyway. So,
yeah. And there's always going to be people that don't care for what's going on in the show. There's always those people. And that's okay. If that's not your bag, if that's not the show for you, that's fine. I mean, there's Star Wars shows out there that I didn't necessarily jive with. There's story arcs that I didn't necessarily kind of identify with, and that's okay. That's not a bad thing, but look at it as Star Wars. I mean, appreciate it for what it is. Even in those stories that really didn't reach out to me, I can appreciate it because it's Star Wars. So that's the kind of mindset we have to have.
Yep,
And
it's all
moving
about in perspective.
Yeah, keep it in perspective. If these things flop, maybe we won't get any more Star Wars, and that's what we want. We want more Star Wars. We want more of this stuff. I mean, we do. So support all that's out there.
Still after Ahsoka, I want my Ahsoka.
Oh, I want Ahsoka. Oh gosh. Oh, Ahsoka. We can't talk about Ahsoka. If I start talking about Ahsoka, we'll never make it to Harry Potter.
Okay,
so.
We have to go back here.
Yeah, we
back
just have
to
to
Hogwarts.
back to Hogwarts. But before we get to Hogwarts, Dork Wars the podcast has a merchandise store.
Merchandising.
Merchandising? What's that?
Merchandising. Come, I'll show you. Open up the store.
Dork Wars the podcast has a merchandise store, right? We have Dork Wars the t-shirt, Dork Wars the hoodie, Dork Wars the coffee mug. We even have Dork Wars the wand shop. That's not exactly true. We don't have any magic at Dork Wars, unfortunately. Hopefully you are captivated nonetheless, but we have no actual magic. But when we do, we'll let you know. But check out dorkwarspodcast.com. There you can find our merchandise store. You can find our YouTube channel that you're currently on watching this. You can find our audio podcast that comes out every single Monday. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Apple Music. You can find us on Audible. All those places. Anywhere that you find your podcast, we're there. So check that out. Just if you like Dork Wars the podcast, just wear us wherever you go. Check out Dork Wars the merchandise store. And I've got some of the best on from Red 5 tonight, right? We have the Red 5 network on.
This podcast is part of the Red 5 Network. For more Red 5 Network podcasts, visit red5network.com.
The Red 5 Network. What else can I say? We are some of the best podcasters out there. And not only the best podcasters, but some really great people as well. We support each other. We love one another. We come on each other's shows. We talk each other through our days. It's great to be part of this family. And if you're not part of the Red 5 Network, that's okay. Tune into our shows. Check us out. Get in the live chats. I just love Red 5 Network. And I've got, of course, 2/3 of the lovely Rogue One radio on with me tonight. Thank you guys for being on with me. Where can we find Rogue One Radio? This is Nicole's shtick. This is Nicole's shtick. I know. I've seen the show.
Yeah,
She does a great job.
Give me a moment.
Blindsider. Okay. That's my fault. All
right. I didn't want to interrupt just in case if DJ went and did it. I was like, okay. All right. Well, you can find.
You know DJ's not doing that.
All right. Well, you can find Rogue One Radio on the social media on Twitter, Instagram, and on Facebook at Rogue One Radio. And you can find DJ, myself, and Steve, our other one of the three, also on Twitter. So just come find us. We're there. Blake can find us. He can show us. He can find us. Do you think? I know I didn't do it as good as I normally do, but that's okay. I was too busy.
Right. That's all right. Check out Dork Wars the podcast. Check out Rogue One Radio. Check out all the Red 5 podcasts. Just like and subscribe. If you're listening right now, hit that like button. You gotta like and subscribe.
More.
I think you should have won the Kylo Ren Funko Pop.
I will say he is my favorite character out of the sequel trilogy.
I did not. I didn't get to stay to see who won him, but I'm just saying it should have. Like if we were there, it should have been you.
That's right. And speaking of the podcast that came on before Dork Wars tonight, Scarif Scuttlebutt podcast celebrated the birthdays of Ro and Brad. If you have a Mount Rushmore of Red 5 players, I mean they're definitely up there, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They're definitely up there.
Yeah.
Great guys, and love watching their podcast. Love watching those guys. Shanti's on there as well, and she is fabulous. She kind of evens them out. I mean, they're so headstrong. You know, sometimes you need that presence to kind of pull them back. But tonight it was mainly Brad and Ro, and they were just full force, and I enjoyed that. So happy birthday, Ro and Brad, cornerstones of the Red 5 Network. So tonight we are talking about Harry Potter. We're returning to Hogwarts for years 1, 2, and 3.
Punch it!
You can't tell me
Okay,
that
the music is just phenomenal. I'm just like,
it's a John Williams classic.
Oh yeah.
Yep, Megan says it right here. Oh, God bless John Williams. Amazing music.
Yeah.
The music in these films. I really enjoy it.
I know. I got chills. That's multiplying. It's the wrong song because it's not Jillian Williams, but yes.
Yeah, and Lunar Girl's right here. This is the Hedwig theme, but it really it's kind of the Harry Potter theme to me. Like that's what I think about when I think of the music.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The cool thing is, or one of the things that I've really enjoyed is once you get to Universal, and we kind of talked about this off air, is they have original music as you walk through that part of the park, and
right.
You know, it's everywhere you go. There's the music playing, whether you're at the Leaky Cauldron, whether you're at Ollivander's, or just walking down Diagon Alley. It's amazing.
That scene, I can actually, as soon as you said Diagon Alley, it's like my brain and my mind and my imagination just went straight there. And it's like,
yeah,
we're not even there. I'm not reading it. I'm not watching it right now, but yet here it is, and I can hear it and play it, and it's just like you can feel it.
You can feel it. Yeah. So tonight we're definitely talking about not just the movies. We're talking about the books and the movies, because everyone that comes on with us has read the books, have seen the movies, and we have a great appreciation for both. Right? I mean, the movies did some things amazingly, and the books, of course, expound upon things that you can't do in the movies. So everyone who is here tonight is familiar with both mediums, and we're going to be talking about both of them because why not? Right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's almost impossible to separate the two, just because of there's enough differences. And the source material is just super fantastic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they are the film adaptations did an amazing job. I don't think that they did a bad job at all.
Mostly. I think it was phenomenal, but there are definitely a few things where I'm like, man, I wish this was in the movies. Although mine really picks up though 4 through 7. So I will save most of mine for next week.
Right. Because
really mine really pick up for 4 through 7. And I will save those because they really are. Oh man, well, I'm already geared up for the next one too because I'm like,
right.
So
Harry Potter is one of those things that just I grew up with it. I was 7 or 8 years old when the first Harry Potter book came out. So yeah, I grew up with Harry Potter. That's my bag, man. I love Harry Potter.
DJ and I are like,
don't laugh at me. Come on now.
I can't even talk much because he's gonna be like, oh, wait a minute, you.
Yeah, just had me thinking about how old I am. That's
But that's the thing, though. I mean, this is a story that transcends generations.
Yes.
My dad loves Harry Potter. He watches the movies. He read the 7th book, so I bought the 7th book when it came out, and he read it before I did, and I was so mad. I was so mad. He stole my book and he read it before I did, and it's just a story that captivates. J.K. Rowling did an amazing job with her story. She fleshed out the world in a way that I don't think many people do. I mean, I think obviously it's not Tolkien. It's not Tolkien levels of deep. Not many people can get there. I don't think anyone's ever gotten there other than him. But J.K. Rowling did a great job.
Hold up. Did he forget C.S. Lewis? Did I miss that, DJ?
Well, I think C.S. Lewis did a good job too, but I don't know, man. Tolkien has a whole language. I mean, Tolkien, I don't know.
DJ, I think we're gonna have a discussion with Blake another day.
Yeah,
I think we're going to finish our podcast series on that, and I think Blake needs to watch the old ones that we've already finished. I'll send those
I'll have to go back. I'll delve in. And C.S. Lewis, love C.S. Lewis. I think he did an amazing job with the Narnia series. Yeah, and I had to.
It's okay. We still love you, Blake. It's okay. No, right. I definitely feel she definitely is her own. I think what's really neat about her is when you go back and you hear about how she originally, the time in her life in which she wrote those stories is really big, because she wasn't just writing them, like she was writing them when she pretty much had nothing. You know, she was, I don't think she was living in anything. Like she was a single parent and trying to get things going and just, writing things on napkins and dude, kudos, like credit, because I mean, even if some people disagree with her, which we won't go into those hot topics, but
no, let's not go into that.
She's got she did it, and you could make that choice to still do it. If you have the ideas, write it down, and you never know, and don't give up. She persevered. I mean, she didn't just it wasn't given to her on the silver platter the first time around. She actually had to work hard and actually keep persisting. So I think that was really awesome of her. And I have to mention, I'm sorry, I don't mean to steal the questions, but you mentioned when you first started reading Harry Potter, and it's interesting because I first heard about Harry Potter because my friend's son, now I was only a very young, not young, I was a teenager, but an adult teenager. And I was already graduated, and her son had dressed up as Harry Potter for Halloween. I'm like, oh, what's he gonna be? Oh, he's gonna be a wizard. Oh, that's cool. Because I just like wizard. Okay, cool. And then he was Harry Potter, and I'm like, interesting. Well, for his following birthday, he was asking for the books. And I'm like, Harry Potter again? He wants these books. And I'm like, okay. I went out. I bought the first copy. I'll be honest, I didn't read it right away. I don't know why. I have so many books. Okay, I still do. Right. Like, it was just tossed in the pile.
I'm not blaming you. I'm not.
But then the movies started coming out, and I loved the movies. I kept watching the movies. I loved it. And then here's the interesting thing: the first book I ever read was book 7.
No way.
Yep. And then I went back and I read them all. Yep. And I will.
How do you do that?
Because I was so excited about this book that was coming out. My 2 other friends, I was going to wait for next week, but I guess we'll talk about it now.
Let's go for it.
I was waiting. My 2 other friends, my best friend, Jennifer, she's a Ravenclaw. And another one of my friends, he is a Gryffindor. And we all decided we were going to read it. And my daughter was very young. I appreciate that my parents did this. No joke. I went home. No. So I didn't go to the midnight. We didn't have any midnight places around us. We didn't have a Barnes and Noble, so I had to wait until the morning. I went to the first thing in the morning, got my book. My parents actually pretty much, other than me watching my daughter a little bit, they pretty much watched my daughter. Because I read. And by the way, we were texting back and forth. We didn't have smartphones, people. Okay. we were texting back and forth on like our I think I'm trying to think if I had no, I didn't have a BlackBerry. Mine had like a keyboard though. And
Yeah.
we were texting back and forth, and trust me, when we got through oh man, I can't wait to talk more about it next week. But yeah, we got through it and it was so exciting. And so it was just a few years ago when my daughter came of age that we started reading. And so I finally went back, because by then I had finally at least read this one, but that's when I started reading all the way through. And it took me some time, but I'm glad, because I do appreciate both. And it was just, it's really interesting to kind of look back and go, oh, that's really neat. Or, you know, so I did it differently. I did it my own way. I also didn't know at the time that I didn't know I was a Hufflepuff until later. So it's like, I didn't know a lot until, actually, you know what? That's the other thing, is I also didn't know a lot until like all of a sudden they started celebrating like the anniversaries and stuff. Like when they really started doing the push on the anniversaries, like when they started talking about the wizarding world and stuff like that, you know, I really didn't learn a lot until like a lot later, and I'm okay with it. So I did it my way. Oh, well.
That's okay. And Harry Potter's one of those things, like I said, it kind of, it reaches out to everybody, because there are things in this book that can reach out to young teens, to kids, to adults. I mean, there are things that even now when I read now as an adult that I get out of it that I didn't get as a kid. I mean, I really identify with like Molly and Mr. Weasley. I identify with those characters. I identify with Ramus a lot more than I did Sirius. I mean, those are characters that now I identify with, not as much as the kids, but I remember what it's like. I mean, we all remember what it's like to be in school and to be teenagers. We can identify, but now I identify with all the characters. Yeah. And this is just something that kind of transcends that. DJ, any thoughts on that?
Absolutely. And that kind of ties into how I got into Harry Potter as well. I was actually at Barnes and Nobles, and I was buying a new player's handbook for D&D, second edition. And I saw that it had a big display, and I'm like, oh, what's this? And I'm like, oh, okay, well, it's number one on the UK charts. I'll pick it up. And, it kind of reminded me when I was reading the back cover of like C.S. Lewis Narnia book. So I'm like, all right, I'll pick it up and read it. And I could not get through it. Absolutely could not get through the first book.
Yeah. It's definitely geared toward a younger group. I agree with you there.
Yeah. And so I was like, man, I couldn't do it. And so I was discussing it with a coworker who had gotten it. And they said, you know what? Get through the book. It kind of grows as the book gets in. The first part of it is just kind of real kiddish. And then it'll grow as the story goes on. Right. By the time that you get to the end of the book, you'll be hooked.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right. So I read it, and I finally read it all the way through. And not only did it work for that book, but it worked for the entire series. So when you start off reading it, or when kids start off reading it, and the way that it was almost every year they had a new release. I believe the first three, 97, 98, 99. Then I think 2001 was the next one. Yeah. Every year they'd get a new Harry Potter book, and the audience that started off that maybe started reading it at 11 was growing with Harry as it went along, and the themes got more mature, intense as it went along. Even my kids now watching the movies, because they don't read books, because why read a book when you can watch the movie?
Right.
But there's reasons, but I won't get to my reasons until next week. I cannot rabbit the whole night. So
no, right. But the deep stuff next time. The really deep stuff is next time. I promise.
Once they get to Goblet of Fire, then it's like, oh wow, this is really taking a turn. And even my youngest one now she'll watch 6 and 7, but she doesn't. That's not necessarily her favorites. whereas the older ones like the darker tone ones. They're a little more mature now. So
Yeah.
But yeah.
So tonight we are definitely covering years 1 through 3, and I think that those books and those movies line up really, really well. Those are, I think, if you think books to movies, they are the closest. Maybe other than the 7th, part 1 and part 2 of 7. To have to the Deathly Hallows. So book 7 is the Deathly Hallows, and you have Deathly Hallows part 1 and 2. I think they did an amazing job as well. But I think numbers 1, 2, and 3 did an amazing job lining up to the movies. I mean, they left some things out, but all in all, you kind of get the same big plot points.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are a few things in there, but
it's a movie. I mean, you got to cut some stuff out. I mean, that's just how it is. But before we go any further, I really want everyone to know. I want everyone to know what house we are, because that's gonna kind of put something on. It's gonna put something on what we're doing here. Like, what we say is gonna have meaning when they know which house we belong to. So,
are we going to sing the Sorting Hat song now?
Well, there's several. If you read the book, there's like 7 Sorting Hat songs.
That is correct. But I was just curious.
I think it might get a little awkward. Maybe I'll put that in next time, because we're definitely going to have more guests next time. I feel like next Harry Potter episode is just going to be like, boom, like everybody's here. It's Harry Potter time,
Well, just like in the final book. Boom. And who we're talking about. Professor McGonagall. Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. I get excited with that scene, both in the book and in the movie.
So, Nicole, I don't even know if we have to ask, but what is your Hogwarts house?
Well, funny story. I thought I was going to be a Ravenclaw. I love to learn. I'm very curious. I'm quite witty for the most part. I really did. I thought I was going to be a Ravenclaw. And my best friend thought she was going to be a Hufflepuff or a Gryffindor. And then we took the Pottermore. I took it 3 times. Okay? I was a Huff every time. I will take this. I did do the Evil Morning. I'm a Horned Serpent on that side. I'm like, oh, finally. Finally, it's picked up somewhere. I swear Ravenclaw's got to be my second one. But it makes sense now that I am a Puff. Like, I am definitely the traits that they talk about. Like, my main traits are definitely them. And not just because we like goldfish while we're, watching our pods. I love you, Megan. But and not
Just
because
we
live next to the kitchen, people. That's the really cool thing. But I mean, just because we're all sunshine and happy doesn't always mean, we've got our badger nails, and you don't want to mess with us. You don't want to mess with our friends or our family. By the way, happy birthday, Ro. Yeah, Hufflepuffs are quite something. Again, I don't know if you want to share the Sorting Hat thing now or maybe save it for next week. Because again, Hufflepuffs are really something. Like, each house I think is unique. But I think the Hufflepuffs are definitely underrated. I think for a long time they also got mistreated because,
they did.
Kind of like what Draco did in the movies, and in the books. They really mistreated the
They were kind of like the house that if you didn't belong anywhere else, you're going to Hufflepuff. That's kind of how the rhetoric was.
It's whatever, and they're just and they don't realize that the pups are what we are. Yeah. I know I'm getting to fighting words there. Do you agree? I'm thinking about I know he's Slytherin, and I can tell he's Slytherin. But yeah.
How can you tell?
Okay, so this is funny. Okay, I have several Slytherin friends. The females are quite interesting in how they treat me. And so the guys do too, and it's very interesting. It's the way I'm treated, and it's the way things are approached, and the attitude. It's really interesting because it's I don't know how to explain it. It's like it's certain things that all my Slytherin friends do or don't do, and I'm like, you're a Slytherin. and that's how I can kind of tell like certain people in our chat right now are in different houses. They're just
We can tell. We know who you are.
yeah. But I mean, trust me, I definitely didn't think I was a puff, but I am, and I am. I'm hardworking. I believe in loyalty. You know, I'm very.
You're loyal. You're a loyal person.
But we're not afraid of toil. See, people forget that one. Yeah, don't even get me started. Bring out those badger nails.
Mess them up. Mess them up, Nicole. Mess them up.
All right. I'm telling y'all, we should keep moving. We got to get on that Hogwarts train.
That's right. Nicole is Hufflepuff. DJ, what house are you?
Oh, gee, like it's a big surprise. Yes, Slytherin through and through.
Oh, here it is. He's got the dark mark. This man is a follower of Voldemort.
Not only am I a Slytherin, I am also a Death Eater, as the wand shows. So
that's scary, dude. That's scary.
That's okay. I have to say this because with Slytherin and Pops, it's interesting because some of my closest, best friendships are with fellow Slytherins, even though my best friend is a Ravenclaw. But some of my closest friendships, best ones, are actually Slytherins, and it's the way I feel like our houses protect each other. Or even if they don't show it in the movie, which is really interesting, there is. Like, you don't want to go there. Like, you mess with a Puff, there's a high chance there's a Slytherin right behind them. But if you mess with a Slytherin, there's a really good chance that there's the whole house of Puffs right behind you. That's just truth.
Don't worry, don't run. Don't run, Megan. It's not going to do any good.
See, he's already protecting. So you see, he's already proven my point. He's already protecting Megan. See?
It makes sense. I mean, it makes sense. You guys you're protecting one another, but we
would definitely protect our others too. I protect my friends who are Ravenclaws and Gryffindors too. So.
Well, I have to talk about my house.
Yeah.
I am a Gryffindor. I'm a Gryffindor through and through. Got the maroon on tonight. I'm showing out because I love the Gryffindor. I love it. They're the main house in the series.
Did you take the official Pottermore or now Wizarding World? Now known as the Wizarding World.
I did. I took the official test. I am a Gryffindor through and through, and my I would be remiss not to ask you guys what your Patronus was as well. Mine's a Rottweiler, and that's a good one too. That's a good test as well.
Good.
Yeah, I'm a Rottweiler. So I'm a Gryffindor, and I got a Rottweiler for my Patronus. So I don't know. I think I kind of match all those traits, and it's funny to me how when you take those house tests, like your traits, it kind of it really does match. Like I was astounded at how accurate it was.
Yeah. DJ, would you like me to go first, or would you like to go first? Because I'm very curious.
Go for it, because it's been a while, so
I've been trying to think about what yours is. Mine is okay. I love mine. Okay. At first, I was kind of like, what? And then I'm like, oh, this makes sense. Mine's a capuchin monkey. So think of Boo from Aladdin. It makes sense. I'm like, okay, this makes sense because. Anybody who knows Puffs, that we kind of like fun pranks, clean fun pranks, but fun anyways. And we love our shenanigans. Like we are and so a capuchin monkey makes 100%. It makes sense with me as to who I am, and yeah. Harry Gryffindor, what?
Okay, yeah. So I just logged into my account there.
My companion on the fly, guys.
What is it?
Magpie.
Wait. Okay, hold up. No, hold up. So you have the same? Am I correct? Is that the same Patronus as Fred and George Weasley? I'm pretty sure that's theirs.
I think you might be right.
Yeah, I think theirs was labeled as a crow, but
I thought they were magpies.
I don't know. Maybe
You
I
mischievous
thought
son
it
of a
was,
gun.
yeah, but anyway, so very similar. Yes.
Trash Panda.
So,
Well,
chat,
now I'm curious
chat,
about
let's,
everyone's responses in chat. Oh, sorry.
yeah, I want to know, chat,
Oh,
what's your house? What's your Patronus? Just throw it out there. Throw it out there to us.
I just
But-
love how you were saying, Blake, though. It's true how our houses match us and how even our Patronuses match our personalities. Like, there are sometimes I've heard people go, I just don't understand. I don't get it. Like, I wanted to do the quiz again just because I didn't like it. And it's like, did you ever take time to figure it out as to why? Like, at first I was like, well, that doesn't make sense. But then I started thinking about it and I was like, boo, wait, hold up. And then that's when my brain started shifting perspectives and going, oh, I get it now. This does make sense. So my Patronus really does get me. I get it.
Dragon Buddy is a Slytherin and a bear. I can see it. I can see it. I can see it, DB. I can see it.
Awesome.
Shanti already said that she's in Gryffindor. Welcome, fellow Gryffindor. And her Patronus is a dog, kind of like a Rottweiler. Like me and Shanti are on the same level here. Yeah, you guys are right. Shanti and I are building a trash panda army. That's right, DB. You guys continue taking over the wizarding world. But I want to get into these books, these movies. So these first three, you can kind of divide the Harry Potter world into like two distinct eras, right? You have the before the Second Wizarding World War, and you have the Wizarding World War #2, right? Book 1 through 3, and then books 4 through 7, and likewise movies 1 through 3 and 4 through 7. So in these first three books, 3 movies, we really get a setup of what the wizarding world is, what goes on, what are the houses, what is Hogwarts, what's the wizarding world, and what goes on. Like, we really get a very good foundation. So what are some of the themes that you like in these first 3 books, these first 3 movies? Nicole, first, go ahead. What do you like about these first couple movies and books?
Are we going all just overall? Or are we talking about individually? Because there's
overall, like the best like main themes leading up to the Wizarding World War.
I definitely feel like, see, there's a lot of same themes that are here that are going to be next week's.
Right.
Themes wise, definitely friendship, family, the importance of love, and sacrifice. Sacrifice is big. I want to make a special note. Sacrifice is definitely a big one. I think that's important both both on this side and on the other side. And it's all connected through love. And I think that's also, I think I'm going to go with that one. Because that seems pretty strong. Sacrifice because of love. It is. Just overall. Because if not, I can do each one and we'll be here all day.
That's okay with me. I would stay in chat. I would talk to you all day about Harry Potter.
Better be careful about what you ask for and what you wish for.
But DJ, themes. What do you think? What are the biggest themes in these first 3 installments of the Harry Potter series?
To me, the biggest thing is a sense of belonging. Finding that you see at the very beginning that Harry just doesn't fit, and he doesn't really fit in, at school, or he doesn't really fit into the wizarding world because he doesn't understand it, and there's so much about his past, and they even say it. It's you know more about me than I do, and basically was talking about like his dad was a Quidditch player, and it's like
what's a Quidditch? I mean, what's a Quidditch?
he doesn't know where he fits and how he fits. He knows he doesn't fit into the human world, or in regular society. There's just something different about him. and then he doesn't fit into the wizarding world because there's just something about him, and the importance that he'll play later on is it slowly is revealed to him. It's to me that is the biggest theme is where do I belong? And once you're there, do I really belong here? Is this the best fit? And for me, the themes echo Star Wars so much.
They do. And General Shinobi Shanti brings this up. Family for sure. Harry Potter is so similar to Star Wars. Yeah. Just what you were talking about. And I think that's mine. Family. Harry, he doesn't have a family at the beginning. I mean, he really doesn't. Like his aunt and uncle, his cousin, they care nothing about him. They just kind of crap on him all the time. Put him under the stairs. And it's not until they find out that he's a wizard, he has some powers, that they give him a room in their house. So he did no family for 11 years of his life. And that's a sad thing. And as soon as he gets to Hogwarts, he feels like he belongs there. From the get-go, we find out that Harry he says he feels like that this is where he's meant to be this entire time, and he just didn't know it. And I can really agree with Shanti here. Yeah, family. That is the biggest theme for me. Maybe in the whole series, but definitely these first 3 installments. It's just kind of building on Harry's family. I mean, you get Hermione and Ron in the first book. And then you get the Weasleys in the second book. Like the Weasleys really come into play for him in that second book. Like not only does he have Ron as his best friend, but his mom and dad really care about him and want to take him in. And it's really about family.
Yeah.
I love the theming in those first 3 books, just setting up the wizarding world. I mean, J.K. Rowling did a great job of setting up this world. I mean, just little by little, there's not any like huge reveals. I mean, it's just, you get story all the way through these 3 books, and you get little bit by little bit by little bit. And this is what the wizarding world is. There's a school, and these are the rules, and these are the families, and you get such like little installments of it that it kind of builds, and it doesn't seem rushed. It's all in its good time. So family is one of the biggest themes for me.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I could definitely see that.
Yeah.
Agreed. Family definitely is beginning to end to now, for those who don't know. But it definitely is important. Yeah. And how he's treated, and it changes. It also changes. It really does change.
Well, I think the biggest thing for me is he goes from nothing. He goes from being a nobody. His family doesn't care about him. He goes to school and everybody beats him up and treats him like he's a pariah. Like nobody cares about Harry until he's introduced to the wizarding world. And then everybody's like, you're the one that defeated the Dark Lord. You are the single most important wizard that's ever lived. He literally goes from nothing to everything in a matter of no time. Yeah. And I think for his character, I love seeing that. Like he's important, but he doesn't feel that way. He always kind of has that imposter syndrome. You know, he really does. Even to the last book. I mean, I know we're not talking about the last 4 books or last 4 books here, but he really does have like an imposter syndrome. Like he doesn't feel like he's all that in a bag of chips. He doesn't feel like he is the best thing that's ever happened in the wizarding world, but everybody treats him that way.
Yeah. Right. I think he's learning, through that whole time though, as he's growing, like we are as people. Like I think we've all been there, that at one point in our time in our lives where we just didn't feel like we fit in or we couldn't find our place. Shoot, there are times where like we feel that way. We find our place, we feel great for a while, and then all of a sudden we're back there again, Yeah. And I think that's also what makes him a very interesting character, is that we know what that feels like, to not feel in place or not to feel like we're in our skin. And then once we do, it's like, could be great for a while, and then we're back right there again. So
Yeah, it's even since we're talking about the first three, his first interaction with Hagrid in the movie, at least anyway. It's he says, "You're a wizard." He's like, "Me? I'm just Harry." Well,
I'm just Harry. Yeah.
Have you ever done something ever happened when you weren't expecting, or whatever? And I can't remember the exact words, but it's like, yeah, no, not me. I'm just Harry. I'm just a regular Joe. There's no way in the world that I could be that special. It's you could. I mean, I could understand it as it's like, man, all my life I've been wanting to get away and was hoping for something bigger and more meaningful, and then to have that wish, granted for him. Yeah, right. Okay, yeah, that's not going to happen. That's not true. I'm not that lucky, and we all felt that way or feel that way. I know when I first picked it up, it resonated with me because I had just gotten over stage 4 cancer and was looking for a new beginning, in a new starting off place, and I had just left Texas and moved back to the Northeast with family that I hadn't seen in, let's see, 12 years. I had no idea what kind of adjustment it was going to be, what kind of life I was going to have. So I kind of saw myself in these books as well. So, yeah.
Yeah. There's definitely a sense of belonging that people of any age can kind of gauge onto, right? Kind of grab onto and say, Harry's not just a character in the book. Harry is me. I'm Harry. I mean, I'm just a normal guy that's been thrust into these situations. And I think that's where J.K. Rowling kind of hit the mark there. I mean, Harry's just a normal kid that kind of gets sucked into these events of grandeur, right? He gets sucked into the Sorcerer's Stone. He doesn't do it because he thinks he's anything special. He just is trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
When he fights the basilisk, he thinks he's the only one who can fight it, so he does that. When he frees Sirius Black in the third book, I mean, he's just doing it because he thinks he's the only one who can do it, and he's just doing what he thinks he can as a normal kid. And I think that's where we kind of grasp onto the Harry character. Mm-hmm. Like, we're all just normal people who are sometimes thrust into these positions that are greater than we think we are.
I think there was also, when you were talking about the basilisk and things, I think that also demonstrates, though, the fact that Harry is a Gryffindor. He's brave that way. He's adventurous. He's risk taker that way. And I think that demonstrates about Harry, and his being chosen to be in the Gryffindor house versus Slytherin, because the hat was kind of swaying a little bit. Like, do I go Gryffindor? Oh wait, Gryffindor, or do I go Slytherin? You two, basically. Oh, yeah. You guys together are Harry, pretty much. Okay, got it. But it's true. It did show up. It did, bring up those characteristics of why he ended up being more in a Gryffindor versus Slytherin. But he was determined. I think he was also. I mean, I think there are moments where he does get those second house vibes of Slytherin, though. So, yeah.
Well, another big thing for me is that oftentimes we look to where us in real life look to where can we make a difference? How can we make a difference? And sometimes it's just either being there for somebody, talking to somebody, helping someone, physically with, something that, whatever, whether it's moving or just helping somebody across the road or whatever. Where can we make a difference? And I think Harry does that a lot as well. Is Not necessarily, what am I good at, but where can I go to make a difference? What can I do to make a difference for someone? And I think we all relate to that.
Yeah, I think we do too. I think Harry is just the every guy. He's the every man, the every woman, the every person. If you think about it, like he is never he never really has ambition, at least in the books. In the movies, it's a little different, but in the books, he never really has ambition to be this savior of the wizarding world that kind of is thrust upon him. Like he never has this kind of feeling that he is the best or he can be this or that. He's always just doing what he can to help the wizarding world or to help the school or to help whoever he can. And that just resonates through the entire story. It turns out that what he's doing year after year is helping out the wizarding world as a whole. And I think that's kind of what really helps most people gravitate toward this story, is that everyone can see themselves in Harry.
Yeah.
He's a normal kid. He's just doing what he thinks is right. And I think we can all see ourselves in Harry, at least a little bit.
Yeah.
No matter what your house is, right?
Yeah.
Except for you, DJ. You're just trying to get ahead and to help the Dark Lord, of course. But
that is to help everyone else. I mean, everybody needs to fall in line, and whatever it takes to get there, to have that togetherness and solidarity, and that's what we have to do. And we have the right guy, or had the right guy, in order to make that happen. But how those rebels are, wizards are, that, yeah.
So I kind of want to dig in here. Who is your favorite character in the first 3 books, movies, whatever have you, the first 3 installments of the Harry Potter story? Who is your favorite character? Let's start with you, DJ. Who is your favorite character?
Wow.
It's deep. It's deep.
Dang.
There's a lot of characters.
Wow. I still, even without the continuing arc, Snape is probably my favorite character through the first 3. There's just something mysterious about him at the very beginning. And as it goes along, he doesn't put up with foolishness. There's just he tries to keep everything in line. He has a purpose, and nothing that you say or do is really going to deter him from that. And we just don't know what his purpose is, or his ambition is at
his mission. He's got a mission.
Yeah. And you know that it's there. You just don't know what it is until the end. But first 3, favorite character would be Snape.
All right, Nicole, coming to you. First 3 movies, first 3 books. Who's your favorite character?
I'm trying to decide. This is really hard because
yeah.
I have a favorite professor. I've got favorite students. I have favorite, Wizarding World families. So it's really hard to pick just one. I mean,
Lunar Girl loves McGonagall.
See, so I love Professor McGonagall. I do. Minerva, I love her. But it's like I also love Molly. I've always loved Molly from like the get-go all the way through to the end of the books. For the most part, there is one that we'll talk about next week where I had a little issue with Molly. But for the most part, I've always loved her. Dang, it's so hard to pick between them because they're both really good. And for different reasons. It's like, it's hard to pick just one. You're killing me.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry I did this to you, Nicole. I'm sorry.
Why did you have to just make me just pick
You had
one?
expected. You had expected, though. Come on,
categories? Not even categories. Seriously, good thing we're not talking about Death Eaters because my book is different than my movie one. That's for sure.
Right.
But that's for next week.
Right. We'll save it. We'll save it. Next week's going to be 3 hours long, by the way.
Yeah, everybody bring your butterbeer next week. Or whenever we do this next one. I don't know. Okay, it's toss up. One day it could be Molly Weasley, the next it could be Minerva McGonagall because and as much as it's hard to pick between the students because there's the students it gets interesting. And this is of course overall from here because 4 through 7, I got me some puffs that I just love, but that's next time. So actually no, can we never mind, we'll get to it when we get to talk about book 3. I'll mention something that actually happens in the first through 3 that they don't show until 4. So we'll get there. Sorry, I'm too excited already. You better take it away.
The next,
what about you, Blake?
3.
Since you put us on the hot seat, who's your favorite overall?
Who's my favorite overall? In the first 3 books, and I feel like these first 3 books are really like introductory.
Dobby! Hello? Oh my god, I just feel like I totally am a traitor. Sorry, I'm going to interrupt you, Blake, but I almost can see Dobby coming from the grave already. Excuse me, you deliver me socks all the time and you don't say my name? Darn those house elves. Sorry, I have to include Dobby. This is important. I know DJ's you're crazy. It's okay. But I gotta mention Dobby also. I might have a cake come over my head in the middle of the night. I don't want that.
So Dobby is your favorite character, the first 3
I
books.
don't know if he's my official favorite character, but I can't risk.
Yeah. So my favorite character in the first 3 books. Oh, this is. I've asked you guys, and I haven't even. And there's so many characters that revolve around. I think my favorite character in these 3 has to be Remus Lupin.
Love Remus. Wait. Well, yeah. Yes. Yeah. Even though he really doesn't. Yes.
He's in the 3rd book, 3rd movie.
See, it's so hard. See, the Marauders alone.
Yeah. But I think Remus is our first character that we see that has the biggest connection to Harry, who isn't someone who's introduced to him after he's 11, right? He has connection to his parents, he has connections to his past. And Remus loves Harry because he's the son of James. He loves Harry because he's the son of Lily. And he loves this kid because he knew his past, his legacy, his parents. And Remus really does care about the kids. He cares about Hermione, Ron, everybody in his class. He's really just trying to help, and he's really down on himself. Mm-hmm. Remus Lupin hates who he is. He hates that he's a werewolf. He hates who he's become. And J.K. Rowling did a masterful job of creating a character who can hate themselves, but still have a relatable kind of experience to everyone, right? Mm-hmm. He's a werewolf. That's not typical in the wizarding world. That's not typical to human beings, of course, that we know of. If you're a werewolf, let us know in the comments. Email us. That'd be cool. I'll interview you next week. But Remus is a tortured soul, but he does everything he can to help Harry. He teaches him the Patronus charm to great effect. He sticks his neck out for him when Snape kind of catches Harry in the wrong, like he's out wandering the halls looking for Peter Pettigrew. Remus really puts his neck out on the line for Harry. I mean, he's there for the kid. And he's kind of the conduit that kind of helps. It helps Sirius to be saved. It helps the next chapter begin, really.
Right.
And that's why I love Remus.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's a parallel. You mentioned Peter Pettigrew, which I know next week we'll talk about, but there is that parallel though between the two, that they are both tortured souls. One loves Harry, loves his family, loves him, while the other one doesn't. And it's just an interesting parallel to see that happens in later,
Yeah.
and it's just so interesting as the book unfolds.
And as the story goes, we kind of get a parallel between like Ramus and Peter. They're kind of on their track. They've got a parallel. And then we got James and Sirius kind of have their kind of parallel. And the Marauders really kind of match one another. They too have their own pattern, just like the rest of the story. And I just can't lament how much this story kind of rhymes with itself. Really just plays on itself in so many ways. I don't know. This is one of the only stories I think in history that has almost zero plot holes, almost zero criticism as far as the story from beginning to the end.
Did you notice? I saw a face.
Well, yeah, I like Remus as well, but there was a lot of, I don't know, almost foreshadowing for that character with Hagrid, because Hagrid had a lot of the similar interactions. Hagrid was a tortured soul as well. He had his wand broken and then transformed it into an umbrella. But he gave Harry the photo album that had his parents' pictures in it. He was part of the Order. He delivered Harry to his aunt and uncle. So there was a lot of to me, the first two books there was Hagrid, and then Hagrid kind of went his way, and then there's the next one to fill that similar role was Remus, and then after Remus, then it was Sirius, and so there was just a progression as Harry got older. Then we had a similar character that took over, but I liked Remus as well, but I almost feel it would slight Hagrid not to mention Hagrid as in the same type of conversation. Not to say that yours was wrong, but
Hagrid was always there, though. I mean, you're right. Hagrid was always there for Harry. Harry could have done anything. Like Harry could have done wrong, and Hagrid would be there for Harry 100%.
Yes, I love Rubius Hagrid. He was an amazing, friendly giant or half giant, and he was just wonderful.
Yeah,
he's the equal of a Wookiee.
He's very loyal. I'm surprised Hagrid wasn't a Hufflepuff. To be honest with you, he's very loyal. He's so loyal.
Might be a secondary house, possibly.
Yeah, 100%.
And I did see some breaking news in there about Shanti, and it does not surprise me because I've always thought she was a Slytherin, and then she says Hufflepuff. Gryffindor, and it made sense. But at the same time, man, her determination, her ambitions, girl, you Slytherin.
Yeah. Now, Andrew, I'm a huge Merle Haggard fan. Where did you see Merle Haggard in these movies? I missed that one.
I'm gonna challenge you, Andrew.
Who's Merle Haggard?
Hagrid, maybe. Haggard's a lot bigger than Merle Haggard. Merle Haggard was a little guy, but
Still don't. What, an actor?
Blake, you and I might have to teach DJ all about Merle Haggard in another episode.
We'll do it. I love some Merle Haggard.
DJ goes country.
Oh no! Oh, country! Oh God, no!
DJ, listen, cousin. We're gonna get you there. I promise.
All right.
I promise. Oh, and Shanti, Slytherin, yuck. She hates her own identity. Oh
No, girl.
no. It's okay. If you're a different house than I'm not gonna judge you on that. That's just who you are.
You're ambitious and
You're
it's
in
beautiful.
good company,
That's
Shanti.
right.
You're in good.
But I really do like the kind of introduction. Like I said, this is really the introduction of the Wizarding World. I mean, we don't get the kind of impact that it's going to have, because book 4 is where it really kind of ramps up and really goes into the Wizarding War. But these first 3 books are just what it's like to be in the Wizarding World when there's nothing going on, when there's no war, when there's no strife, and it's a good look. I like it. It's the Wizarding World as a whole is a great place. So, what is your favorite part of the Wizarding World in these first 3 books? Whether it be Quidditch or the school or just the piece, like what is it? So, DJ, let's come to you first. What do you like in these first 3 books about the Wizarding World as a whole?
Hogwarts. It has everything that you could possibly need or want there on the grounds. You have, I mean, sure, it's, I'm not a big proponent of spew, but, you
That's
want
not the 4th book.
you want food, it's there. You want learning, it's there. History, it's there. Adventure, it's there. There's so many rooms and so many places in that castle that haven't even been explored in these books. It's amazing. If you like greenhouses, and they have it's all there. The Forbidden Forest is there. 3-headed dogs. Ghosts, and there's just
You got it all.
it's all there, and rooms of requirement, although they don't know it as such in the first few books, but it's there. It's just whatever you need and whatever you want, it's there. Hogwarts is, yeah.
Oh, we got some new additions to the chat room. We got JT. Hello, everyone. Are we talking about the worst witch? Not yet. Well, we'll get there.
No.
We got Wikipedia in the chat. That's a big name. What's up, Wikipedia? Good to see you. Good to see you. So
that was a very resourceful, cunning, ambitious answer, DJ, and very smart.
very
Imagine
Slytherin.
And he even included the green rooms. Green. It's like, I was about to say, well, I'm just going to say everything. And then here's him. He just went, oh, but let me just do Hogwarts because it includes every. And he went right through the list. So, very wise. I'm very impressed. Very nicely done. I don't know if I can ever top that now. Because my little sassy remark was going to be, well, everything,
you sassy.
The Wizarding World is just such. I mean, even though it has its darker moments, it even does even at the beginning. There's something about the magical world that is so enchanting and so wonderful, and like each component really plays in. Like my 1/3 co-host mentioned, that Hogwarts, of course, encompasses a lot of that. Between the Fluffy, the 3-headed dog, to magical, beasts and creatures in the Forbidden Forest. I mean, there's just so many wise answers or smart answers, as my co-host has mentioned. It's hard to pick just one.
It is.
Overall, out of the 3, it's like, it's hard to pick one.
And like I said before, I think these 3 movies and these 3 books really line up pretty close in everything. Like The main
Awesome.
story points are there. I mean, there's obviously some things in the book that didn't make it to the movies, but all in all, I mean, these movies and books really tie in closely.
Yeah. Well,
And I think we're just supposed to get a real kind of feel for the wizarding world in these first couple, and
yeah.
and we get that. I think my favorite part. My favorite part of these first couple books is Diagon Alley, and just seeing everything's alive, right? We kind of see wizards and witches going about their business. We see them doing the things that they need to do. They go in and they buy this, they buy their potions, they buy the ingredients, and they buy wands and robes and this and that and the other. And we see him in Tom's bar, and we see him kind of conversating among one another. And it's kind of showing that the wizarding community is just kind of like alive, kind of like the Red 5 Network, right? We're kind of all alive and talking to one another and doing our thing. And they're doing that. They have their own community apart from the mortal world and can do that kind of behind the scenes. I just love the background on the wizarding world. Like it's there, but you can't really see it. You know, we can't see it, but they can, and they have their own little societies. They have their own little government going on. It's this whole world just amazes me.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And DJ wants to go to Bo Batten. I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
I mean, we can get into that a little bit more particular next week, but
we will.
But yeah, it's and as you were saying, you know, the Diagon Alley, and again to go through just the universal part when you're walking down the main street and you know that you're getting close because you see the night bus that is there.
Love the night bus.
You know, the phone booth is there. You see the brick wall, and as you get close to the brick wall, you hear the sounds of bricks like they made in the movies of moving, and you step through. And as you said, the world, it becomes alive. Everything is alive, from the shops to your first glimpse at Gringotts, and with a dragon that's overhead that breathes fire. And
yeah,
it just, the music and every shop that you walk by is, full of, Quidditch supplies or little animatronics that make it, look like
butterbeer.
The butterbeer.
Ice cream at the
you can even go down Nocturne Alley, which I absolutely loved.
Of course you did.
Slytherin, you Slytherin, you.
But it was Borgin and Burke's. You could go into that shop. And it was so cool to see it come to life. Yeah, you could, watch it in the movie, but to actually experience that firsthand and walking through it, completely immersive, and you really felt like you were there. It was amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. I really do like the immersive world that we're given. I think that's one of the big things of Harry Potter. Like, it's a world that we can kind of relate to, even though we don't belong to it, right? Like, none of us have magical
We're
power.
not? We don't?
Well, I don't think so. I don't have any. If I did, I would not be just chilling right here.
Wow, I'm really lost now.
Oh, dang it. You guys have magical power. That's some bull crap, man. Y'all didn't share with me. Like,
Well, didn't you know? JK's always said, everyone knows, well, I didn't receive my letter. And she goes, but you were there all along.
Yeah.
The letter, you got your letter too. We were all in that story. As we started off, we were talking about how, we grow with the story, and it's because that's how we got our letters. We got them with Harry. We grew.
We did. We
grew.
And
welcome to the wizarding world, Blake. Welcome.
Thank you. I think I set this whole thing up. Now I'm being welcome to the Wizarding World. It's crazy. But I do love the immersive world. I know we've talked about this before, but the world is just so immersive. In every single book, every single movie, we get a little bit more, until, of course, when we get into these next four books, 4 movies, that's when we really see just crazy stuff happen. But these first 3 were really just kind of immersed into what the Wizarding World is.
Mhm.
Who are the people? What is the government? What is school? What is everything to these people? And we get that out of the context of war, out of the context of conflict.
Mhm.
And I think that's important. We're in the peace times. Everyone thinks Voldemort's destroyed. He's never coming back. And we're just teaching these kids like everything's okay. And I like that view of the world.
Mhm.
So, kind of closing out here, what are some of the important traits of the first 3 books that kind of help us in the last 4? What are some things that kind of lead us into that? I mean, I know we have conflict. Luckily, Voldemort has a way of letting Harry finish his year of school. He just comes in at the end. He never messes with him in the middle or final exams. He lets him get through all of that. So what are some important traits that kind of lead us into this next phase, the second part of the Harry Potter series? I see you guys thinking. I'm going to start with Nicole. I think she's got something. She's got something
I'm like
there.
the smarty pants up there.
Hey,
No,
I have
it's
mine. I'm ready.
It's interesting because my brain didn't go to traits. It actually went to something you just said, actually.
And that's fine too. Go for it.
And that is that, like Miss Fig, they had to put on a show. They had to put on something very important to play it off right. And I think that prepares us because we're all kind of in a certain view, a certain perspective. And as we go into these other final books and stuff, it's like as those details come unfolding, right, that you begin to learn the truth about Miss Fig and about Snape, and who, of course, we really didn't find out who he really was until later. But it's like you finally find that out, but it's as you slowly get there. But like this is the buildup because they want you to think a certain way. So that's just something I thought about. I want to also make a special note. One tiny difference that from book to, there's a lot of differences actually between books and movies, but in particular, I know for 3 is actually the one where we actually meet originally with Cedric. It's like she planted him in book 3, but in the movies we don't really meet him until number 4.
Right.
I love Cedric, and of course we only got him for a short time, so I really enjoyed his character. I think what she did is though she planted the seeds for what is to come because it's all getting ready to bloom, and we're about to get all those layers upon layers, and I think that's what she really does. I don't know if it's necessarily about traits, but it's about all that for preparation with, like you were saying, we learned about the government, we learned about the professors, we learned about the teachers, and we're learning about all these different aspects. And there's a lot. I mean, you could literally do a whole series just on each book, and there's just so much to unpack. But she just really prepared us because there was a lot that happens in the other 4, and all the first 3 prepare us for that.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
And they do these first 3 books really feel like a preparation to what's to come. And when you read them, they don't seem like that at first. They really seem like their own contained story, which they are. They're a very good story. They make for some great times, great events, but it's really leading up to this 4th book where everything just hits the fan, and it's a war. There is just everything breaks loose. But these first 4 are contained in this little kind of bubble before the war in peace.
Yeah. but it's in those peaceful times where there were so many other fun adventures, like the Fort Angelina, or what is the thing of a rubber duck? Oh, okay. Can we talk about a book difference? Oh my gosh, I have to. Let me wrap it. Let me do it, DJ.
Go for it.
Okay, this is important because this actually does a character differential between book versus movie, although I still think he'd still be wholesome either way, and that is Mr. Arthur Weasley. Okay, in the books, would be book 2, when they're going to the library, not the library, but to the bookstore, and Lucius Malfoy and Arthur Weasley actually get in a fight. Fist fight, y'all.
Fist fight.
Okay?
Not magic. There's no spells. They hit each other.
Correct. And it's just really interesting because we didn't get that in the movies. They left him at a very wholesome, look. They didn't show that that part of him. And it's interesting because I feel like that's still important to show of him because Mr. Weasley was still very protective of his family. I mean, Gryffindors are just as protective as their families as badgers and snakes and eagles are. And I think that was also something that was different. One thing I will mention now, but I'm going to be really talking about more aggressively next week, and that is, of course, the Bill Weasley and Charlie Weasley, because they are very important to the Weasley clan.
Yeah.
And again, the Weasley family has so much. There's so much wonderful stories and adventures that come in those first 3. It's not just all about the setting up and preparing us for the 4 through 7, but there's all these wonderful adventures, minus the spiders, because we all prefer the butterflies, or maybe some of us prefer the spiders over the butterflies.
I like the spiders.
But, and of course, I want to Fort Angelina, because, that'd be cool. But there are so many good, really cool adventures that happen that I think that's important. I wanted to mention because we didn't talk about those adventures. I'm like, oh, you have to mention there are these other moments, not, it's not all preparation. There are a lot of fun moments in there. So,
there are.
Yeah.
And I love these 3 books. And I think JT kind of, he comes in. I've only seen the first movie. I decided not to jump on board the Potter train because I would end up spending a fortune on the merchandise, and you would. It's a great universe. I mean, as far as stories go, this is one of the most airtight kind of. I don't know. It's a sound story. There's no holes.
I got it. See, Shanti gets it, girl. She gets it. Peeves is in only the first movie for like a few seconds. Okay, you guys.
Did he make it? He made it in the first movie?
Well, if you remember, is he in there or is he just a ghost? No, they did not. They actually, okay, so, but there is, if you go in, stop shaking your head, let me finish. But if you go out, there are stills. There is like an image you can see of the original Peeves and what he would have looked like. That's why, DJ, let me finish. That's because there is a still out there of what the original actor would have looked like if there was Peeves. And Percy was just as important. Peeves was just, thank you. See, Shanti gets it. And there are those moments that if they would have included what it would have looked like. And trust me, there is a moment that comes in 5 that I would have loved to have seen on screen with Peeves and 2 particular professors that I will mention when we do our next episode of Back to Hogwarts, because it is awesome. The book had me dying of laughter.
And I hate there are characters that do not get enough screen time. Dobby
or got none at all.
Well, none at all. But Dobby gets his screen time in the second movie. He's in several other books, but does not get another mention until the last was I guess the 7th book, or excuse me, 7th movie out of 8.
Oh yeah, just you wait. Next week will be fun.
Yeah, we'll have to hit that one. Peeves never gets a mention when he's an important character. I mean,
very.
He is. It's not anything that kind of. If Peeves isn't there, it's not like it changes the entirety of the story, but he is such an integral character. He's mentioned so much in the books that to not have him in the movies is kind of an insult, at least to me. You should have had him in there a little bit.
Right.
Like, come on. I get it. You got to cut some of the stuff, but at least put him in there.
I always said that if they ever did a readaptation, okay, people know I do not like reboots, and at this point, because there's just been so many reboots done, but if they ever did a another adaptation, I would prefer it to almost be a series, like, and be actually by the book as much as possible, and get those other things included. So,
Yeah.
it's so funny.
JT, this is all spoilers to me. Go watch the movies, man. Read the books.
Oh, read the books.
Read them.
Read the books, because the books are different. Spoiler alert, they're different than the others. Oh, and listen to them. I will say this: the only book I think I've fully been able to some of them that I've been able to listen on Audible has been the Harry Potter books. I'm not really big into Audible. I have to physically have a book. Makes a difference for me, but the Audible ones are pretty interesting. So check those out too.
Yeah.
If you're not a reader, that's what I would suggest.
Yeah. And I've listened to them. I've read them. I've done it all as far as Harry Potter. And I love every iteration I get of this story. I enjoy for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And there are things that I pick up on in the audio that I don't when I read it by myself. And there's things that I pick up in the movie that I don't think of when I'm reading it. And there's just different components to each kind of medium. So going into this next phase, I feel like both of you guys are going to be on the next episode of Dork Wars Live to talk about 4, 5, 6, and 7. At least I hope so.
I'm bringing. So DJ's probably bringing something. We'll see what he's bringing.
We'll see. We will see. But what is the most important thing to bring with you from these first 3 into the last 4 or 5 if you're talking about movies? DJ, do you have anything? The best thing to take from these first 3 movies or books into the final stage of the story?
Even though you might think you should always lean on your friends. If you think that you have to do things alone, you should always lean on your friends. And I believe Dumbledore said, there's always help for someone when they ask for it. So
yeah.
That's, even if you think you can do it on your own, always lean on your friends.
And that's very good. Very good. Listen to learn from these first few. Nicole, anything that you will bring from these first 3 installments to the last 4 or 5?
Quickly to what DJ said, though, it sounds like he just described the Red 5. I'm just saying. He did. I would say patience. I know, spoken like a true Hufflepuff, right? Patience. Because there's just so I love you, Shanti.
And that's right. Dork Wars the podcast, baby. Let's go.
I think this is important to, like, as you go through and let the layers fall apart, fall away, and hang in there.
So what I take from these first 3 movies is family.
Yeah. That's
this is the biggest kind of component to me for Harry, at least. He starts out in book 1 and he has his aunt and his uncle and his cousin who he doesn't care for. He doesn't really like them. They despise him. They hate him. He comes to Hogwarts and he finds Hermione and Ron and the rest of the Gryffindor house, and even people in other houses that really look up to him and respect him and like him. Like, it's not just they like him because he's Harry Potter. They like him because of who he is. Like he
Mhm.
just shows them himself, and they like him for being a normal guy, a normal kid.
Mhm.
And in book 2, we get the Weasleys kind of adopt Harry.
Oh
They
yes.
they,
Oh,
they
yes.
really do. Like George, Fred, and Ron come and get Harry from Privet Drive in those first couple scenes, and that was really cool to me. But when they get to the house, Mr. and Mrs. Weasley just really pour over him, like, Harry, are you okay? And Harry, are you this? Like, they make sure that Harry's okay, and they really, really love him.
Mhm.
In the third book, Harry gets an house and he has his little through everything, and he blows up his Aunt Marge, and he has this whole deal, and yeah, this. Oh, I love those scenes.
That is hilarious.
It is,
I
and
love
she
it.
deserved every bit of it.
Well,
But
and it's funny because the actress who played her also was in the movie Matilda.
yeah,
Is Mrs. Trunchbull. So it's like so perfect and uncanny. It's just I love it. It's just fabulous.
but even then, when he gets to the Leaky Cauldron, the Minister of Magic, Cornelius Fudge, just kind of, he kind of has his own reasons, but he says, "Oh, that's okay. We all we all blew up our ants at some point or another, right?" But the Weasleys, even in that movie, kind of take him in. It's like, Harry, like, you're one of us, and you're not just by yourself. Harry really has like a connection to the Weasleys, and of course, we'll get into that
Right.
more in the next
Well,
couple
I think it's
books and
important
installments as well.
is that book versus movie is that the Dursleys also go. Well, no, they don't. They see how the Weasleys treat him. They see the Weasley, like, you know what I mean, in those
Yeah.
small moments from the train or from a particular letter that gets sent to the house and it's covered in stamps. Like
Yeah,
they
and it's-
see how he's being treated, and it's just interesting. Just
Yeah.
you know, or when I'm trying to remember, is it in the first 3 or is it in the number 4? When they come crashing in through the wall.
That's number 4.
Oh, oops.
That's okay. That's okay.
Let me tell you, it's funny. That scene is not in the movies, and it is hilarious. I am
It's
like
great. I wish they would put it in there.
laughing. I like had to stop because I was laughing so hard I was crying. You
But
know,
even in the second book, Ron send letters. Ron and Hermione. Of course, Dobby intercepts them. Ron tries to call the house and can't. Is this a telephone? You know, he kind of stumbles over what a telephone is, and they're going the extra mile just to connect to Harry, and they're going that extra mile just to make him feel included, and just that small gesture. I mean, it's not the biggest gesture, but it's the small things that kind of help Harry feel included and feel like he's never something he's never had before.
Mhm.
And that's what really kind of helps him propel into these last 4 books is that sense of family, that sense of self, that sense of community that he gets at Hogwarts and that he gets with the Weasleys and he gets with Dumbledore, McGonagall, all the teachers other than Snape. You know, that's a whole different thing. We'll talk about that next time. But he really gets this sense of belonging. And I think DJ brought this up way earlier in the show. But it's a sense of belonging that keeps Harry on this path. And I think that's what kind of that's the thing that propels him into the next step, into the next steps really of this war is that sense of self and that sense of kind of observing the wizarding community. He feels like he just has to do it. Like something kind of gravitates him towards that sense of duty to do something. And it's that sense of belonging that he's never had in his life.
Yes.
And I love him for that. I love the story for that.
Yeah. And it's definitely a fun adventure to go on with him as he grows.
It is. And I think TJ said it before, like the kids my age that kind of grew up with Harry Potter, like we kind of grew year by year with Harry. and we got a new story every year and a half. And we grew up with Harry. Those who are a little bit older, kind of same thing. Like they grew with Harry. Like his stories got more mature with every single book.
Mhm.
From now on, I mean, the kids, even younger than I am, who have, you know, haven't been introduced to Harry Potter yet, or are kind of new to the fandom, like they read each book or see each movie, and they grow with Harry as well.
Yep.
It's
And
a
then
story that transcends.
yes, it does. That is for sure. And not to get ahead, but it's like she could actually continue to write if she wanted to, because we're actually at the point now, we're at the stage where book 6 kind of, or that final book, book 7, kind of ends. But we're actually in those years now, which is the coolest thing ever,
Yeah.
So.
And Chauncey, we will unpack Snape. He's a big bully in the first 3 books, but the next 4, he's got a lot going on for him. So we'll talk about it.
Snape
we'll
is
talk about
pretty,
it.
that can be almost an episode itself.
He's so complicated. I feel like this is kind of like an introductory to Harry Potter. The next show is really going to be like a deep dive into the characters.
Yeah.
There's so much that goes on.
See, and I like Snape, and there's sometimes where I just don't, because I'm like, dude, get over it, move on. She wasn't the one. Yeah. And then there's the moments like, oh, I love you. I love what you did for him.
Yeah.
He's
complex.
Very complex and complicated.
But moving on, any final thoughts on these first 3 installments of the Harry Potter series? Coming to you first, DJ.
If you haven't seen them, watch them. They're on Peacock. They're on HBO Max. If you like the movies, go read the books, and
for sure.
You'll pick up a lot deeper things in there. But at least give it a shot. The music, the movies are a lot of fun. Give it a shot.
Yeah. Awesome. I agree. Totally. Nicole, any final thoughts on these first 3 installments for the Harry Potter series?
They are wonderful. They're 3 wonderful books filled with adventure, fantasy, and fun. And they are definitely worth reading into. Especially, this is the perfect season for reading these books. In fact, especially like the Prisoner of Azkaban, is set during this particular fall setting, and it's just absolutely wonderful and gets you in that mood for the autumn season. I'm gonna again piggyback off of DJ here. If you haven't seen the movies, watch them. If you love them, buy them. If you haven't read the books, read the books. And let me go even further. Read the books while listening to the music. It will definitely put you in the mood. I'm gonna throw out real quick. It's called Ambient Worlds. They actually have Harry Potter music based off of, you could get your Hufflepuff house, your Slytherin house, your Ravenclaw house. You can be at Hagrid's hut, or you could be at the Burrow. I mean, they have a bunch of stuff that's in the category. And I love to actually, when I read, I actually like to also put on the music to kind of go along. Because trust me, there is nothing like reading about Diagon Alley and you're listening to it, and it gets you just in this different mood. I would also suggest, if you know your house and stuff, actually we talked about this before we went on. I got myself, I'm not, actually have a few more still left to go, the individual of the Hufflepuff of the house editions, but you can also get them for each of the houses. And I think that's really interesting, because I think once you get to know your house a little bit more, you feel connected a different way, and you also start connecting with the characters a different way. And I think that's why that's why I mentioned Cedric. It's like, oh, how can I not mention him? Or how do we not mention, Professor Sprout or whoever, your houses are? Because you start connecting with those characters and you start building a little differently. And I think that's also interesting. Yeah. So definitely check that out. Get to know yourself, because I think finding out also about your houses, you're going to find out a lot about yourself that
Yeah.
you didn't realize. Or you're going to be going, oh, that's why I'm in the house. Trust me, I thought I was a Ravenclaw, which makes, again, total sense why I'm a Horned Serpent. Also through the Ilvermorny houses, but, you know, Puff is definitely where I'm at. So, yeah.
Yeah. I will say the Hogwarts houses seem to be a little bit more accurate than like horoscopes. So
I'm going to be in
pretty cool.
agreement. Yes.
But I will say that kind of my final thoughts, and this just came to mind. The third movie is one of the most cinematically shot films, the best cinematically shot films I've ever seen in my life. Just the way they shot those scenes, the transitions between scenes. I think that is one of my favorite movies of all time. Just the way it was shot, the transition. I just love that film.
Mm-hmm.
But as a whole, these first three movies, like I said, kind of really tie into the books pretty closely. They're really close. There's some things, of course, that don't get in there, but that's just the nature of making a book into a movie. But it gets the story. You get the story. You get the feeling. You feel the belonging. In that first movie, you really feel like Harry is just trying to belong somewhere. He gets that. In the second movie, you feel like Harry's trying to connect to the Weasleys and really do the right thing. He does that. In that third movie, you really get Harry tries to connect to something of his past before the Dursleys, just his core self, and that comes in the form of Ramus and Sirius Black, and the way that they tie all those things together, books, movies, what have you, was amazing.
Yeah.
And it really sets up a very special ending. I mean, the last four books are phenomenal. I think these first three were great, and I think they did the job that they needed to do. But they really set up these last four in a way that you could kind of experience these characters in a deeper way and kind of explore the world around them in a deeper way. So that's my final thoughts. These first three books, movies, really set up the last part of the story in a way I don't think that many stories do. They took a lot of care to do it. J.K. Rowling did a great job writing it. Christopher Columbus, I know, directed the first two.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he did a third one. I can't remember.
I don't
The
think
third
so.
one, I think the third one was a different director, but still.
Yates that did the third.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's correct. That's correct. Still, great job. Great job. And I think these first three installments really set up what we're getting into in the next four, which we will get into next time on Dork Wars Live.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Of course.
I'm like, I love it.
And even after this next one, we're still going to talk about some Harry Potter in the future. I mean, there's so many things you can talk about. Just kind of dig in on, you know?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But I want to come to each of you guys. Thank you guys for being on. I really appreciate having you, DJ and Nicole, come on Dork Wars Live. I love having you. I love having the Red 5 Network. I love just talking geeky, nerdy stuff with everybody. DJ, where can we find you?
Well, I am Red4 Charlie on Twitter. I also am 1/3 of the host team for Rogue One Radio, which is also on Twitter and lots of other places that Nicole talked about at the very beginning. Instagram, Discord, Facebook. Everywhere. Part of the Red 5 network. So go check us out. If you don't like us, then there's other pods that you probably will like. So where you can find me.
Just put it out there, DJ. Just put it out there.
I love him.
He's down to earth. Nicole, where can we find you? And of course, Rogue One Radio, because you are the keeper of all the social medias.
Well, so I'm Nicole. I'm on Twitter and on Instagram at Peace Love Fandoms. I'm actually co-admin of Peace Love Disney on Facebook, which is separate page, but it's still fun.
I'm part of that group. I'm part of it.
Also, so as DJ was saying, him and I, we make up the 2/3 of Rogue One Radio. I swear, one of these days, Blake, we will make it on your show. All three of us, some way, somehow, it will work.
We'll do it. We'll get a Tuesday night when I'm not busy, and I'll get on your show. We'll do it. We'll make it happen.
We'll have to do it both ways because it's only fair. I know, again, spoken like a true Hufflepuff. And of course, Rogue One Radio can be found on Instagram, Twitter, as well as Facebook. And we have a Discord group as well. So you can find us there on socials again at Rogue One Radio. Also part of the Red 5 Network, which is biolink.com/Rogue One Radio, I do believe. If not, go check out the Red 5 Network on the Twitter account because that also gives you straight to the biolink of 37 plus and growing pods that we have, like many other kind of fandoms that we also enjoy. Not just, Star Wars, but as you guys can see today, Harry Potter as well. So back to you, Blake. I think I did a little bit better this time than the last.
We got so much going on in the Red 5, right? I mean, we love everything.
That's why. Okay, so my original name was Peace Love Star Wars, and because my best friend's page, it was Peace Love Disney. So I did Star Wars, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so much more than Star Wars. DJ knows I've been like going through this hurdle for over a year, and I'm like, dude, I love Narnia, I love Lord of the Rings, I love Muppets, I like. I mean, there is like a lot of fandoms behind me. People like Wizard of Oz, like I can go for days. And so I finally changed it to fandoms because it's true. And I think that's what Red 5 is. It's grown. It's not just Star Wars. It's grown because we are family and we're friends and we love many fandoms and can geek out together. Nerd out.
I do. I think to love Star Wars, to love this stuff, is to love everything else out there. I mean, I love Avatar: The Last Airbender. We just did 3 episodes on Dork Wars of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Great show. It's not all about Star Wars. We do everything. We kind of get into everything.
Right. I think that's what's really cool is that not every you don't have to like every fandom. You can find the one that you love and enjoy, and you can find a pod that matches that.
That's right. And I know Rogue One Radio gets into everything.
And music. We play really good music.
They do. Star Wars. They get into Disney movies. I remember when I first started kind of listening to you guys regularly, you guys were doing like Disney movies, like animated Disney movies.
And, we were doing the breakdown of the different eras. Is that correct?
Yeah.
The Dark. Oh, that I loved that. That was so.
That was
awesome.
an amazing series. Loved that. I was so tuned into that. That really spoke to me. I love the different eras of Disney movies and even movies in general. But Red 5 kind of has all those things. And Dork Wars as well. We talk about everything. We talk about Star Wars. We talk about Avatar: The Last Airbender. We talk about Star Trek. We talk about just Harry Potter. Everything. We're getting into everything now. And you can find us at dorkwarspodcast.com. It's right there at the bottom of the screen. You can find our stream. You can find our YouTube channel, our merchandise store. You can find us on social media. You can find us on Facebook, on Twitter. You can find us on Instagram, anywhere that you social media. Just type in Dork Wars Podcast and we'll pop up. So we thank everybody for joining us. We thank the chat for hanging in there because it's been a long one, right? We've been going now for almost 2 hours. Thank you guys for sticking with us.
Yes, thank you.
We'll be back in a couple weeks to talk about movies and books 4, 5, 6, and 7 for movies. 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. It's confusing. It's confusing. It's okay. But we will be back. And that's been another great episode of Dork Wars, the podcast. Thank you, and may the Force be with you.
Thank you for supporting Dork Wars, the podcast. You can check us out on Facebook.com/Dork Wars, the podcast.
And if you would like to join in on the discussion or maybe suggest topics for us to discuss, please do so by joining our Discord community or sending us an email at dorkwarspodcast@gmail.com.